So shame and guilt differ in that when a person who is not shame-based does something wrong, something, an error in judgment, I got drunk and had a one-night stand, I got a B and I should have got an A. I mean, it differs for everybody what your level of intensity is and the topic. But basically, the person that is not shame-based says, I did something wrong and I'm not going to do that thing, or I'm going to not get caught doing that thing if they're a full-on narcissist and they don't care, you know, whatever. The difference is, if you're not feeling shame-based, you can fix your problem. As I was saying the other day, you can not put it all on yourself. You can say, I'm going to do better next time. But if you're shame-based, everything that happens bad for yourself and others in your life seems like your fault. It feels like your fault. And I don't have time to go into all that, but I talked about it at length. Please review those. I'd really like to go into it now, but I'm going to run out of time. So, here's what the deal is. Since we're so damn good at dissociating, I talked to my therapist, and she's like, this is kind of revolutionary. She talked to her friends and other people and asked if she could use her notes and share them. And I was like, sure. That's how all this started. My own therapist saying, can I please share this stuff with other people? And professors saying, can I use this as required reading when I put my first 7 chapters out? So I'm like, 2 years later, I've actually got a program developed and a rescue charity I had already started, but let's get it off the ground, okay? And mostly, I've had the opportunity to work one-on-one with actual human beings like me to make me validate my experience. Pardon. I was recently disowned by my own family, or one member. One of my sisters, who wasn't even involved in any of this. She just doesn't think that it's appropriate. Thinks I'm a media whore. Those words didn't come out, but I know. We all know what that means. It's like, if I could make one person learn that they are disassociating to the point that they don't even know what sex is, right? That's where I'm going with this. Sex, love, and intimacy. We are told, and this is so confusing to anybody, much less someone with CPTSD, right? We're told that love involves intimacy, and we're told that sex is intimacy, and we're told that sex, love, and intimacy go together. So then when we have an encounter with somebody and we just want them to love us, or, you know, you start to have a feeling for them that might be physical, and then the most horrifying thing happens, and I didn't know this was happening. Then I physically shut down. I would get into the situation, do it, but at the point of having physical sensations, I shut down. And here's why. And this is what I'm telling you that you don't know. You might not. I hope you do. I hope you do. I hope you're not that person. But most people I've talked to with CPTSD, until I explain it to them, and it's a simple explanation that will actually make sense to you. Think about this. When you had sex the first time, even if it was a very bad decision, even if you shouldn't have done it and you regret it and it led to consequence, whatever, if you made the decision yourself, there were feelings physically that led you into the act of sex, if you want to call it an act, and it often is. But with a CPTSD survivor of childhood sexual assault, the second we feel those feelings and get drawn to someone, when we enter into the physical act, we feel, we don't have cognitive words for it, but that part I was talking about, that enlarged amygdala, is going, fight or flight, but you're already committed to the bridge. You're already about to have sex. So your mind fights by flying. And now you're actually in a situation you may have wanted to even be in, or worse, we often find ourselves in situations we didn't want to be in, but we never learned how to say no. So if they get us cornered, we're like, the way out is through. That's what we learned in childhood as childhood sexual assault victims. The way out is through. So you go away. You go away mentally. And the problem is you get to be an adult and you get to be in a situation you want to be in with a human you love. I talked yesterday about getting into situations you don't want to be in. Let's talk today about getting into situations you do. A husband or spouse or wife or whatever your world is, multiple of those. I'm open-minded. If it's real, it's real. And if you are in that relationship and you start to feel things, you cross-associate it with the first time you felt sexual feelings. And the first time I felt sexual feelings, I now realize I was roughly 12 years old. I had already been being befriended and groomed, although I honestly don't even think my assaulter meant to groom me. This shit just happens, and that's why we have to talk about it and stop it, and we have to educate our kids. I had a great family. They didn't know what was going on. My dad would have killed him. I didn't speak because by the time it was happening, I was guilty. I was guilty as the day is long, but I didn't know why exactly, and I didn't want to be there, and I didn't want to be doing it, but I still knew, because society told me that I was ruined. Society taught me that I don't occupy a body, that I am my body, that what it looks like and what's been done to it matters. Men have taught us that virginity is a thing, because if a dick went inside of you and then outside of you, boom, you're different. Why? Because some man has decided that somebody else possessed you. So now these are social constructs. Get that in your head. That being said, no one has the right to force you to do something before your time. So back to the top. I'm getting all excited here and I do that thing. Daughter of a preacher. Okay. When you do that thing, you enter into a situation you actually want to be in now. You've moved past being used. Let's say you're not being cornered by strangers and having sex with them because you don't know how to get out of it. Now you've actually picked your person or persons and you want to be there. But now your mind won't let you because your mind has learned to disassociate at the first feeling of sex. So instead of running away, most people become performance artists. As I was explaining, go back and look at that yesterday more. But being a performance artist is when you're fine, you're happy to be there, you want to be having the sex, you want them to be happy, you want you to be happy, but you're not orgasmic. Or if it's not, some people don't want that kind of sex. So whatever your thing is, you don't feel intimate, you don't feel bonded and close, right? You pull away somehow. You start thinking thoughts like, am I good enough? How do I compare? Does he really love me? I gotta do this, the best, best blowjob ever, the best sex because I don't want to come up short. These are not thoughts you should be having. And everybody I talk to with CPTSD, and even the ones without, these are the thoughts they're having while they're having sex. It's like, I understand, because that's all I did too. Until less than 3 years ago, when I was blessed with falling back in touch with somebody that was close to me a long time ago, but not in that way. And after all this work, I'm not saying he's so much better than me, although he is, totally. Edit that out. It's the fact that I had prepared myself. You know when they say luck meets preparation, or luck is opportunity meeting preparation? Well, I got married and divorced 3 times, and I meant it. I loved them. I gave it my all. And I left every one of them thinking I was righteous. And in some ways I was. But now, looking back, I see I added to the problem by never being authentic. I was a role player. But I didn't know that. So give yourself some slack and give people you know who might have CPTSD some slack. There is a way to get better.